everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks in another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're taking a look at a match that was recently submitted over on the Discord channel that was played on Swirly Rock. Swirly Rock, pardon me, whoa. Swirly Rock, a very interesting map. It's a map that is oftentimes very easily compared to KOOM Valley. There's a lot of good reasons for it, but it does have minor differences, and I want to talk about some of those in just a minute here, after we meet our team leaders. Our blue team leader, spawning as a Cortex commander on the northern side of Swirly Rock today. The man, the myth, the legend, the one and only, it's ReedSweet. ReedSweet coming in at 33 true skill and trying to show us exactly what they've got as a Cortex commander going into a bot lab here in the backline of Swirly Rock here. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do in this position, obviously claiming these metal extractors and putting all your forces all over the place. You have a lot of different baskets that you can put eggs into here. I'm very excited to see exactly what ReedSweet is going to be going for. Feel free, by the way, to leave a comment down below on how I'm supposed to pronounce this. I probably won't take your advice to heart, but I always love to read them. And if you feel like translating it, feel free down there as well. I'm well aware of what it means. I just can't say it for YouTube monetization's sake. I don't know, maybe I can. YouTube lets me get away with a little bit more nowadays that we're a little more popular around here at the Brightworks, so I guess we could see. But anyways, on the other side of the map here, we have none other than MVP, who's going to be spawning as a Cortex commander likewise, and on the northern side of the red Frontline. Boy, was that a mouthful. Northern side of the red Frontline. So we're going to be contesting roughly this lane. Is the lane for MVP to be going up against Humblegar in, the powder blue commander here for the blue team. Gonna be fighting this northern line of metal extractors here, but it is a tricky lane because you actually have to fight kind of a wide area right here. There's this 3.4 metal extractor that's very valuable, and then you still have this line up north that you have to try and protect. It means that you have to spread your forces out quite a bit along this defensive line right here. So I'm excited to see how exactly we're going to handle that issue. There is also some metal available for the reclaim here, so I'm glad to see the res bots are sent out on the map here. These, what are they called? Carnivore plants. Yeah, carnivore plants. Going to be giving quite a lot of energy and quite a lot of metal, meaning, of course, we can spam out some of those really early units very, very efficiently. Oh, speaking of which, Resbot makes it to the front line right here for Quaif, the green commander. It'll be found by a grunt, though, and blasted to smithereens. Very nicely done right there from the maroon commander. It's a very important snipe. Sniping those early resbots can deny a tremendous amount of economy that the other opponent was depending on, right? Remember that there's a lot of energy reclaim going back just as well as it is metal reclaim. All of that adds up quite quickly here. Defusion. Not able to shut down the scout here, so the scout plane will manage to at the very least find the maroon base and make its way towards the pink commander. Oh, actually, pink commander moving a fighter to intercept. Beautifully done. Oh, well, okay. Fighter missed its shot. A little bit of a whiff right there from the Valiant here, whiffing its shot, but Potato 37's commander manages to laser that scouting plane out of the sky right there. Very nicely done. Shutting down the air scout. 2 bases revealed right now for the blue team. Not the end of the world. We do also have the orange and brown commanders revealed as well. But as far as the front line goes, we don't know exactly where those bases are, essentially meaning we're safe as far as bombing is concerned. Very effective strategy on this map, going for early bombing runs, because this map has a lot of very high value metal extractors, right? They're all 3.4s, most of the very valuable ones. There's 3.4s here, and then 1, 2 per lane. So basically 3.4s per lane. Means that each and every one of those is obviously much more valuable than, say, for instance, a bunch of 2.0 metal extractors or something like that. Grunt's continuing to fight over this reclaim field over here on the northern side, and that reclaim field is continuing to grow as more and more units do fight over it. The Grunt right there accidentally destroying one of the plants. That's a little bit of a bummer. Oh, nice resbot micro right there. Nice resbot micro right there. Wow, Green Commander keeping this keeping this Grunt alive with the resbot right there. It's the little maneuvers like that, but they do definitely win you games. Resbot now reclaiming well over a couple hundred of metal, probably about 800 metal we've reclaimed. Lost a lot of it on the front line here as well, invested in holding this front line, but of course, not the end of the world if that advantage can be to your side. My goodness, what have we here? A little bit of a commander trade has gone down as the purple commander Jayton and the tan commander Necromancer both hug it to the death. Thug's still, pardon me, Hug's still available. I'm having a rough day today, can you guys tell? Thug's still available here for the tan commander. And that does mean that at the very least we're going to be able to hold on to this frontline metal exchange. We need to get a resbot out here immediately. We're going to send a constructor forward of all things, actually. Not the end of the world, but certainly does mean that you're not going to get that metal as quickly as a resbot would be able to. Thug's here to defend, though, does buy you a lot of time, so that's nice. Resbot will go down for the blue commander, who rushed to Resbot over there as well. Love to see that we're on top of it, though. The red team definitely contesting this medal because it's as important as... Well, it's worth contesting. It's definitely worth contesting. That's nearly a T2 lab's worth of medal right there. So getting that reclaimed up and put back into the economies of the red team is going to be fabulous. Quips commander moving in right now. Oh, we have an aircon moving in. Okay. Cheeky way to try and reclaim some of that, but I don't mind it, actually. Yeah, okay. Aircon trying to reclaim as much of it as he can. The Thug's technically able to shoot up at it, and indeed they will. Resbot and Construction Bot here, managing to eat up a tremendous portion of this metal. D-Gun's going out now, connecting with some of the Thugs right here. All said and done now, the 1.5 commanders reclaimed right now. Gonna be more than efficient enough for the red team to take that trade. Big push on the northern side, but I want to keep my eyes over here to see if we manage to break this. It looks like we're not going to, so we'll switch cameras up to Panok, the Cyan commander, who's going up against the orange commander, SK10. SK10. Sometimes, you know, the numbers mean letters and vice versa. Not sure exactly how it's meant to be read here, but at the very least, the orange commander does have enough forces here to drive back the LLTs of Panok, who's trying to push forward. Only 3 pawns available here for the Cyan commander, so definitely not sufficient to break the line by any means for SK10, but at the very least, something to defend the commander with, and that is really important. A couple of Rocketeers marching their way across the map here as well. MVP thoroughly controlling this metal extractor triangle right here, right? This is what you're hoping to claim, and we've managed to get all 3 of them. Ideally, you would deny one of these and claim your 2. In this case, though, MVP feeling pretty comfortable enough to claim all 3 of them. It's going to put Humblegar a little bit on the back foot. We do at the very least have an exploiter up and running, so that's going to defend that metal extractor quite well. It is the metal extractor. The metal extractor is its own defense, which is quite nice. But there is a run-by happening. Okay. Aggravators firing away. Shuriken's in position. Ooh, Grunt still manages to kill a metal extractor, though. 36 metal to kill a 50 metal structure, obviously going to be quite efficient. Only way that isn't efficient is if the metal extractor is resurrected rather than rebuilt here. Aggravators bringing down a commander right here for the green player as well. By all measures, except for the northern one, this fight is looking wonderful right now for the red team. They've applied wonderful pressure in the T1 era, killed enough commanders and reclaimed enough metal that I think there's probably enough going around right here to probably get T2 up and running pretty quickly. We do have T2 already being passed around right here by the air player, who's transporting around T2 constructors all over the place to people. And we are going to start upgrading to that T2 economy very, very shortly here. It looks like the yellow commander, one of the first to receive that T2 constructor, the red commander receiving one just now as well. We have the maroon commanders being dropped off in the back line just to make sure that we can get those mexes up and running. This advantage is going to start pressing itself quite immediately. And construction trucks here. Actually pulling apart that commander really efficiently. Nicely done. Hey, look at that. Construction vehicles here eating up that commander wreckages, or wreckage, singular. Saving the day right here, certainly. Wouldn't even mind, I was going to say a heavy laser tower, but that works pretty good too. Putting down a dragon squad just to make sure that no run-bys can go through, none of those tanks can push forward. Always a little bit tricky to push into a dragon squad. You have to bait it into standing up and then attack it with your long-range pieces. The control of this front line is nice, but all it's really bought is a single metal extractor here. It is a 3.4, so that's nice for Panok, but is it worth losing these units on the front line here? At least we have the Resbots to patch things up and make this a little more efficient, but I think at this point you just got to cut your losses, back off this front line, reclaim as much of this as you can, and try and outtrade your opponent on the retreat while you go for T2. I think that would probably work out fabulously right here for the Cyan Commander, who does not have a T2 constructor up and running yet. A little bit slower on the propagation right here for Reetsweet, who is building T2 constructors. We do have, well, at the very least, a T2 constructor up and running. There we go. It's going to start up a fusion reactor before making its way around to help with the metal extractors. Don't mind that one bit, but we need to see that T2 prop happening very, very shortly here. T2 metal extractors coming up for the front line right here. This 3.4 boosted all the way up to 13 metal per second is fabulous. Massive commander kill up here. My goodness. What a beautiful trade right there. These commanders hugging it out, dueling to the death. But that was tons and tons of forces for the orange commander down right there. Tons of Rocketeers. I think it was about 8 Rocketeers that just went down in that explosion, losing it all in the blink of an eye as those commanders do go down. Resbot will reclaim a whole bunch of this here. That's MVP's Resbot, not the orange Resbot, so that metal is being sent over bit by bit right here to the orange commander as it's being reclaimed. Lovely teamwork right there, making sure to get units on top of that reclaim as quick as possible before the enemy has a chance to do so. There we go. Lazarus finally out for the orange commander. Going to start blasting away here. Those Lazarus are quite squishy, though, so Oh, if it's on microed. Ah, Rocketeer will blast it apart. Unfortunate to lose those res bots because they are crucial for making sure this fight is efficient, or this reclaim rather is efficient. Looks like we're having a little bit of energy problems right now as the Orange Commander is going into a solar panel, going into units, going into all sorts of stuff. We have T2 mexes coming up in the backline as well. Wouldn't mind seeing maybe 2 of these constructors peeled off to just start up regular advanced solar panel production. Just doing it on their own, they don't drain too much energy out of your system, and you can usually end up maintaining things quite nicely. We do have hounds moving to the front, by the way, which are also fabulous. Oh, beautiful surround right here from the red commander, using those T1 in one of the rare T1 fights that's going to remain up and running for a good long time now. Yeah, the blue commander without that T2 transition doesn't have a clean way of getting into T2 without sacrificing either a positional advantage or a whole bunch of unit production. It means this is a really efficient fight because it's one of the few battlefields that's left in the T1 era as the rest of them start to upgrade to T2. Even the hounds right here are going to be wonderful for blasting apart the LLTs and whatnot over in this area of the map. Rocketeer blasted apart by the LLT over here. Wonderfully done. Beautiful support from MVP right here. Now this should lend an opportunity for Humbleguard to push forward, but as you can see, there's still a massive army for Icarus continuing to harass over here, meaning that the Powder Blue Commander has no option to help his teammate by applying counter pressure here. All that they can do, all that Humbleguard can do is try and fight these aggravators as efficiently as possible without losing too many and while trying to maintain reclaim superiority. Artillery trucks firing away from out of range of that heavy laser tower over here, that Warden locking down this area of the map. Actually called an area control laser tower. I'm not sure if that's always been its name, but it's certainly an excellent function for it. Wonderful for blasting away at long range a whole bunch of these units over here. We're up to T2 production now at this point for Hans Joachim. We are starting up T2 production as well for MVP. Everybody ready to get into that T2 era, and I think it's the reason why we're seeing the trigger pulled so loosely right here by the red commander, is suddenly we see all these corpses littering the battlefield, and reclaiming them and putting them into T2 units is going to be miles more efficient than just continuing to pump out T1. Aggravator battle so messy right here for Humbleguard and Icarus. Every volley that they fire, tons of units die, and then the resbots have to come in and try and pick it all back up. Looks like the Sheldon have been hard at work tearing apart this composition over here, as there's tons and tons of units lying face down in the dirt on this hillside. That's obviously very nice. If we switch to our metal vision here, we should be able to see, well, okay, it's grabbing a couple more pieces than I would ideally say, but probably about 1,000 metal at least right here. Not to mention all the rest of the metal that's laying all over the place. Fiends making their way out to the battlefield. They'll have a field day blasting through these maces and Rocketeers. Especially if we self-D them. No self-D right there from the tank commander. Would have liked to see it. We probably could have softened up a whole lot of these units a lot better if we had just self-destructed that Fiend, or even both of those Fiends, into this composition here. Obviously very scary as well. To lose your units to something that efficient, suddenly you find yourself questioning whether it's worth continuing to push whatsoever. A little bit of a psychological warfare thing there, but well worth taking advantage of if you can. Somehow a hero pawn has made it into the backline, is now blasting apart wind turbines. Alright, well, we'll take it. Could go on a rampage here and shut down metal extractors as well. No reason for this pawn not to keep moving right here. It's just a little bit of an APM stall for SK10, the orange commander. Brown commander has the fusion reactor just about finished here and is going to start working on some more. Looks like we have a big old queue. Not sure where. Oh, there it is. T2 constructor queued up and ready to go. Purple commander taking a commanding lead over the position on the northern, pardon me, the higher altitude hill over here, the southern side hill. I mentioned I wanted to talk about the differences between, of course, KOOM Valley and this one, and it is that this map is not symmetric in the same way that KOOM Valley is. KOOM Valley is mirrored north to south and east to west, whereas this map has a big flat open northern side and then a big hill on the southern side here, making it quite a bit different. It means that you need different commanders with different skill sets and different units and different positions to push forward and effectively take control of everything. Forward position right here for diffusion is lost. Actually, commander in a lot of trouble. Oh no, commander goes down, taking away tons and tons of the units right there, putting them out of commission for the maroon commander. Wow, alright, well, what a beautiful snipe right there. Commander didn't continue retreating, and those Sheldon were more than happy to blast away at it. Just like that, the maroon commander has lost all the momentum on the front line here. At the very least, we have a T2 lab up and running. These T2 mexes are going to be critical here, but we definitely need more power as well. Yeah, we've got a handful of wind turbines and some advanced solar panels here, which are cranking out energy left, right, and center. We need a response to these Sheldon immediately. That's a beautiful, beautiful pickoff right there for Quaifu, who's going to inherit quite a lot of metal, nearly 3,000 metal worth of frontline production and defenses. Hounds out and in their Gauss projectile mode, or at least one of them is. These three in heavy plasma. This one is in its Gauss mode, as it should be for dealing with fast assault units like Fiends, like Sprinters, even like dealing with Pawns and Grunts and that sort of thing. Fiends get into the base, though. Fiends rapidly burning their way across the base of the Orange Commander, killing metal extractors and wind turbines and all that good stuff, but there is still a base up and standing here. It starts to lose all these wind turbines, though. It's the energy production that the Orange Commander is desperately in dire need of. If we take a look right here at SK10, you can see energy production is plummeting right now. We're down to about 360-ish energy per second, which is not sufficient to run a T2 economy on. We do have another fusion reactor coming up right here for the Brown Commander, alright. Not the end of the world, but this Fiend is more than happy to continue blasting away at whatever it can. Finds a bunch of E-converters and figures those will be a good enough target. Oh, alright, gets reclaimed right there. A citizen's arrest on that Fiend. Very nicely done. Humblegar in a lot of trouble now. The red Sheldon Ball has been built up to sufficient number here to start contesting the powder blue. As long as we kite properly, though, there's no reason why the forces of Humblegar here shouldn't be able to outkite most of this army. Aggravators certainly shouldn't be finding any value here. Grunts maybe a little bit as more of a scouting tool than anything else. But the red Sheldon Ball is the main thing that's contesting this fight right here for Humblegar. The one detriment of the Sheldon is that they don't individually do any tremendous amount of damage. Over time, with proper kiting, they can dismantle virtually any unit. But you have to buy them that time, and that's often the costliest resource in any RTS. Lightning tanks now to blast away some of this front line here, mostly just used as shock troops to try and soften up any of these static defenses, or perhaps any of the units that are otherwise a little bit too quick to catch up to with some of the slower siege units, like the Sheldons, like artillery pieces. Lightning turret goes down, beamer turret trying to fight valiantly, but it does fall as well. This line is looking lost right here as Humblegar now has to deal with 1, 2, 3 commanders worth of production bearing down their full weight on the powder blue commander. This is the time for a counterattack, but Carlos Spicy Wiener, the Lavender commander, is up to no such thing. In fact, not even into T2 yet. My goodness. Quite a bit late into the T2 draw right here, and forcing Humblegar to bear the brunt of a full frontal attack, and it's all in the T2 era. Yeah, Aggravators, Rocketeers, not going to work very well against Fiends. Switch to our cinema cam right here as we watch some of these Sheldon blast away these T1 units ruthlessly. Carlos Spicy Winter's commander in a whole lot of trouble here as well. Down he goes. Reacting a little too slowly, having a bit of an APM stall there, I fear. And just like that, the Lavender commander loses one of the most powerful units on the battlefield. Warden's still finding some value, blasting away at Fiends. Definitely not the worst use case for a Warden I've ever seen. Fiends fairly thin in the armor plating, essentially designed as walking flamethrower backpacks, so they are pretty easy to bring down. Warden's certainly suited for that sort of job, but obviously there are better options. There are T2 options. The air player on top of it with the Shuriken here. Trying to paralyze whatever they can. Bull tanks, sure. Definitely a valuable thing to paralyze. 950 metal a bull, which I point out every single time because it is comparable to a T3 unit once you get up to that price. Means losing them to Shuriken is certainly inefficient. Lightning tanks, though, with their little anti-air backpack missile, it's not much. It doesn't even one-hit a Shuriken. But over time and in numbers, they can certainly bring down those pesky paralytic drones. Production starts up right here for the Blue Commander Retweet. Starts pumping those Fiends out to the battlefield here. We've had a influx of blue units ever so slightly just as we continue to scale here, but this APHIS is draining the majority of the resources and build power, more importantly here. And it's the reason why we're having such a hard time holding this front line. Persecutors up on this high ground are actually quite a cute maneuver. Yeah, trying to fire away at whatever they can over here. Their angle makes it a little bit tough for them to find value, but there we go, showing away at some of this T2 efficiently. Lovely stuff. As long as the Sheldon hug the cliff, though, they are going to be safe. Humblegar losing it all now as the T2 starts to ravage the base. Similarly right here for Carlos Spicy Wiener, whose name I'm saying as many times as possible just because of how funny it is. Also losing a ton to the Bulls and Lightning Tanks. The Bulls and Jaguars moving forward right here. Armada composition's very animal themed, huh? Bulls, Jaguars, Recluse, Weber, all that good stuff. I'm gonna guess Cortex has its counterparts as well. The Tiger, the Mammoth, all that good stuff. Speaking of mammoths, one to hold the line, another in production. Mammoth actually fairly sufficient as a anti-spam force. Their heavy laser beam fires pretty often, and their health pool makes them considerably sturdy against even the most high DPS T3 units. This is looking horrible for the red team. Pardon me, for the blue team. The red team commanding the utmost control of this entire match so far. Lightning Tanks now ravaging the base right here of Jeton. We have no bombing runs queued up, no nuke missiles charged, and no hope and no future. The blue team needs nothing short of a miracle right here to try and bring this game back, and I just don't see how they're going to do it. Gunships and fighters in tandem moving forward right here, vastly outnumbering the air forces right here for Aprog. And as those hot pink fighters go in, a resign vote is queued. Lightning Tanks now blasting away the backline air force here, further weakening the air forces. We have such a tremendous economy. We have 3 fusion economy here, more than sufficient to start pumping out mass fighter here. Surprised to see that we didn't. Oh, we're running. Yeah, we do have 2 labs up. I guess that's fair to keep a Cortex T1 lab around. Sure. But down goes the Seafoam Green Commander alongside all of his precious fusions. And just like that, the red team takes an overwhelming victory in this game of Beyond All Reason. It was a slow, grindy, steady kind of defeat for the blue team. But eventually, the economic advantages mounted themselves into a beautiful, beautiful match right here for everybody on the red team. Lovely stuff. Always good to see the fundamentals in play and see that they can still work even if you're playing as a frontliner. Thanks a ton for watching, and I sure hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the very next video of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.